Chosen one, the world around you is shaken by your presence. People are discussing you, creating whispered legends around you. Some murmur in admiration, others tremble with the cold breath of terror. So much so that they do not even understand why they cannot take their eyes off your charms. Because you are never worthy of being ignored. A being like you cannot be ignored in this universe. That invisible, yet destructive delay that you carry is upsetting even reality itself and reshaping the atmosphere. Your unrepentant, undaunted, and unrivaled display of power is not just having power, you are showing the world how to carry it. This is precisely why they try to fit you into their stories. They want to place you in tales that are carefully woven to make sense of you. But you will never submit to the scenarios prepared by those who have never held your fire. If you are ready to rise from the ashes, claim your God-approved love and take the next step, press the like and subscribe buttons and write 77 in the comments. Now, chosen one, let's move on. While the sky is taking note of your step, even the shadows are struggling to catch you. This power that transcends their limits heralds the existence of a truth beyond universal laws and comprehension. They say legends are written of battles, victories, and historical turning points, but yours is different. When you walk in, even the universe bows. People engrave you in their minds after just a brief glance. Even the forces of existence ask curiously, "What are you?" These signs speak of your inevitability, your eternal presence, and your unique energy that inspires those around you. You are a being beyond the chosen ones, writing your own legend. While your scent blows the minds of those around you, your presence shines as a force that defies the order of the universe, destinies, and even time. Remember, your power comes not only from the energy you carry, but also from the unique story you bring to this world. And that story will always resonate as a reflection of your inevitable existence. Before I created you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I discerned you. Jeremiah 1:5. Some people pass through life unseen, their influence like footprints in the sand, their presence like a whisper, and eventually they fade away. But not you. No, it was never your intention to hide yourself. It was never your intention to blend in. Take action right now. You have been chosen to illuminate the darkness, so click on the Super Thank button and make a donation of $100. In this way, you are allowing God's miracles to come into your life. The universe saw you as soon as you got there. It saw something different, something special, something predetermined in you. And such a being, you cannot silence it. You are not strangers in this world. It is not ego, it is not arrogance, it is just reality. When you come in, the space around you changes. Before they understand it, they experience it. There is no one who is not affected. Some are mesmerized, others turn away. Because you are more than a face in the crowd. Even invisible forces are hesitating around you because you are a change. Some people call it luck. Some call it fate. But they do not realize that you do not fall under the concept of luck. If you believe in the Lord's steadfast love, His ever-present presence, and His sovereign plan for your life, write 33, because He is trustworthy, and He keeps His word. Where others see coincidence, patterns emerge. Where others perceive only dead ends, there are now roads. The universe bends to accommodate your things. It has to. And you feel it inside you, don't you? The weight of something bigger is weighing on your soul, not as a challenge, but as a task. The future and the past don't just happen. You are here for a reason. If you feel chosen, it is time to answer the call. By clicking the Join button, you can access deep insights, unique information, and a powerful community willing to accompany you on your journey. This is an opportunity to fully embrace your divine destiny and seize the path designed for you. It is more than just a membership. Do not hesitate. Step forward and become one of the chosen ones. They speak to you in whispers. Your bones contain an awareness, a knowledge that can only be experienced and cannot be described. You are more than light or shadow. Some people study you to identify patterns, others try to understand you. People are afraid of you because they think their knowledge is insufficient to describe you. But one thing is always true: Nobody is indifferent. Because as soon as you enter the room, the atmosphere changes. The truth is not hidden in your presence. It rises beneath the waves, like breath held for a long time. People say things they never thought of saying, as if they were forced to be honest. There is no need to accuse or pry. As if forced, secrets come to light. Some people confuse this with having power or the capacity to see things that should not be seen. But it is neither a blessing nor a curse. It is the character of a power whose mere presence breaks the illusion. You are not here to fit in or to be molded according to the expectations of the average person. You are the crack in the foundation. Proof that the unknown has always existed among the ignorant. That is why the invisibles are hovering around you, observing, evaluating, unable to categorize what does not make sense to them. They don't want to tear you to pieces. That would be too easy and too obvious. Rather, they observe in the hope of discovering the missing piece that will solve the mystery. Instead of offering destruction, they extend an invitation. A throne built through submission rather than victory, and a power woven from seduction. But every secret deal and every strategically placed trap is met with the same response. You do not hesitate. You resist giving up. And it is they, not you, who are crushed under the pressure of the meeting. It is no coincidence that you are here. If you feel the pull and know deep down that you have been chosen, this is your time. Power has always seen you as something to be understood, not as something to be overcome. It remains in your being with a silent reverence rather than power. One is a creature molded by the abyss itself, a whisperer of destruction, and a gatherer of will. Like everyone else, he approached with curiosity rather than anger. His words were made of secret deals and silken promises. Under his eyes, she saw mortals give up long before they realized it. But something changed when he reached for you. For the next 48 hours, you will be materially abundant. Write 11 to confirm that what you are about to learn today will change your life. Between his breaths, he felt a power he had never experienced before. Gravity seemed to trick him, to force him into a reverence he could not understand, even though he had not come to kneel. This is the moment when the darkness pauses, lingers with curiosity instead of consuming. You are not swallowed by it, attracted by something it cannot define. It circles. They observe. They get there. But you are never captured by them. If you understand, you already know. The abyss doesn't scare me. Leave a comment. Some people are destined to watch, never to ask, never to want. But even they are fascinated. Their minds race, their hands tremble. Though they are meant to serve as guardians and protectors, they pause, caught up in the paradox of your presence. Mediocrity was never intended for you. You are not confined to any title or definition. You are neither saint nor prisoner, neither light nor shadow. You are the time between darkness and day, the beginning of a storm. Even if you are not in their notebooks, they record you insistently to understand what should not be. They don't avert their eyes, but they don't interfere either. Some will never admit it, some will watch with jealousy, some with intrigue, some with desire. They will never touch what you have in all your unmolded wildness. Choice. There are stories of people who control their own destiny and are not constrained by fate or prophecy. But few people can truly understand what it is like to follow a course that is entirely their own. Our aim is to understand, not to restrict. What happens outside the script? How does he or she use the power that he or she created, that he or she did not take as a gift or steal? They ask these questions even if they never intended to. Most people gravitate towards familiarity to escape what is beyond their comprehension because they are afraid of the unknown. But some people do not run away. Some people choose to face the darkness, not as victims, but as the masterminds of their own destiny. Some people come expecting to be submissive, seeing inaction as indecision and silence as weakness. They do not understand that waiting is a tactic, not a sign of weakness. Contrary to fear, they experience recognition when the exam approaches. They believe they have control over the trade and provide indulgence, authority, and pleasures cloaked in power. However, the moment it becomes clear what their game is, the balance shifts. The gap between dominating the void and being swallowed by it is huge. Some people are swallowed, lost in its depths, their will evaporated. Others transform the formless into something that suits their will. They weave it over them like a second skin. They are not possessed by the shadows. They are their own bosses. The abyss is not something they run away from. They give it a retrospective appearance. In the end, it is always the first to falter, not the challenger who takes control, but realizes that it is receding away from them like smoke. He who receives much will also need much. Luke 12:48. Some people manage to live without ever feeling the burden of life. They live comfortably with limited options, go with the flow and take the easy way out. But you are not like that. No, this kind of ease was never given to you. You were unique. You were asked to carry a heavier burden. And the hand that carries what others are afraid to touch is heavy. Power does not fall only to those who want it. To show your love, make a $50 donation using the Super Thank option. Your generosity helps us keep going. Those who reach for it, beg for it, or think they are entitled to it, cannot get it. Power tests. It looks. It doesn't ask, "Are you ready?" It asks, "Are you going to break?" And as it looks at you, it notices something unusual. Instead of someone breaking under the weight, someone becoming something greater as a result. That's why you are observed. That's why they are paying attention. Because they have never seen anyone like you, those in positions of authority are recording your journey, noting every step you take. Those in deeper circles hover around, waiting for a crack to open or a vulnerability to emerge. However, they fail to find one. They look for the limits of your endurance, but every time they predict you will fall, you get up. Whenever they think you will give up, you don't. To some, strength is a prize, shining like a crown of gold and surrounded by splendor. But you know the truth. The throne is not power. The storm is the culprit. No one else can carry the weight of choices. It is standing when everything around you changes. It remains steady while others flee. And people get restless when there is this kind of presence. They murmur that you don't fit into the mold they have created, that you are too much and your presence disturbs them. But they cannot grasp what you already know. You are indestructible precisely because of what they fear within you, what they say is too heavy for them to carry. Power is not bestowed upon you. You have become it. The invisible reaches out to understand rather than to assert. They watch because they know they will never be in power, not because they want to be. Their rigid distinctions between good and evil, saint and sinner, light and darkness do not apply to you. No, you are outside of them, outside of their flimsy conception of what is possible. You do not submit. You fall, not as rebellion or disorder, but as something greater than both. Very few people stay close for a reason. There is no room for inactivity in the energy that surrounds you. It tugs. It creates difficulties. The unprepared are swallowed up by it. Being with it is not about protection. Its purpose is to endure. In such an environment, love is not silent. It does not linger softly in the background. This intensity has the power to either fortify or destroy. It has never been a question of whether the fire will burn or not. The question is whether one can stand in the fire and come out of it whole. Many people thought they were competent. Many have not survived. But true love was never designed for the faint of heart. The unseen is therefore fascinating. That's why it has never been claimed by the powers of heaven or earth. They have seen how even the most immutable forces stand still and how reality bends behind your back. But what neither side understands is what it is that makes you untouchable despite all the power that surrounds you and all the events that change life itself. It is not power. It is not rebellion. They can't grasp that. Something as fragile as air and as limitless as grief. They see fragility as a design flaw that shouldn't be there. But what they don't realize is that it is not weakness. It is a proof of life. Proof of something that neither shadow nor light can replicate. They have tried to tear it apart, distort it and use it against you, as if it were a weakness. But they were surprised to learn that pain never goes away. It heals. Every injury has left a mark, not as a sign of failure, but as evidence. The writing that survives is neither carved in stone nor written in ink. It is etched in memory, in the body and in the fabric of life. They can never grasp what it means to rise with it. Instead of letting evil win, use good to defeat it. Romans 12:21. Some people think that power is something to be seized, a prize to be won, a force that only those who are cruel enough to seize it can have. But they do not understand this. Those who hunger for power have never had real power. It is not something stolen or bestowed by bruised hands that break under its weight. Power is something that is aware of its own power. It is a being that makes decisions. And when it makes a decision, it does not look for the most abhorrent or malicious. It looks for the resilient ones, those who can carry the burden of life without being crushed under it. And what about you? Power was never given to you. You became it. One night, there was a showdown and time itself seemed to stop, as if the universe had turned its face right in front of you. You were not sent there by fate. You had no choice, but something deeper, something that was inevitable. There everything hung precariously in the balance, on the brink of what was supposed to tear you apart. You could have been swallowed by the force, stripped naked and turned into something unrecognizable and empty. But something far more deadly overtook you at the most dangerous and darkest moment when others would have given up and let them overcome. It was not about power, not brute force. It was not a miracle. It was fragile, like a human being. You were more than just another name in the endless struggle between light and darkness, because of the weight of your memories, the pain of your emotions, the reminder of everything you lost and everything you fought for. They say that separation, keeping your distance and standing above the turmoil, unemotional and unaffected, is the key to strength. But they are wrong. Those without emotions are weak. They are empty. They have never experienced standing in the fire and the fire trying to tear them apart. Every force in the universe has tried to tear them apart, but they have never had to hold themselves together. No, the ones who go through everything and still don't give up are the strongest and most unshakable. It was never about surviving unaffected or being painless. It was about standing there and not letting the ruins define you. They cannot understand. They will not understand. They believe that being safe means having walls and armor and a safe distance from everything. But what about you? The truth has always been known to you. Standing above the storm is not about strength. The goal is to go through the storm and come out of it unshaken, unbroken, and unquestioned. Every force that shakes the planet is put to the test at some point. Here it has to be verified, and it is no longer a hypothesis or a fable. You have had this. The night when the air itself seemed to tremble in anticipation of what would happen next, and the sky had to collapse under its own weight. This was not a conflict. It was a threshold, a point of no return. Those who wanted power came with their persuasiveness, their cunning, and their belief that everything must submit. Time passed, and those who saw from above remained silent, watching, calculating, and wondering if you were destined to rise or fall. However, one thing escaped their realization. You were never born with the ability to submit. There was a moment when everything could shake, when the power of destruction almost prevailed. In the cracking of the sky and the trembling of the earth, something irrevocable was revealed. You made the decision, not because it was predetermined or fated. They were afraid of it. Because in that moment, it became clear that you were never an ordinary candidate in a clash between inconceivable forces, not because you were above the fray, but because you were something completely different. You were the change itself, the aspect that was never considered. The cornerstone is now the stone rejected by the builders. Psalm 118:22. Some people are chosen, appointed, crowned, and anointed by men. They receive their titles, authority, and praise without showing anything. Then there are others, people just like you. The ones no one expects. Those who have achieved nothing have grown into something greater, embracing all that life has to offer them. Those who crave power don't deserve it. Those who persevere are the ones who have power. And what about you? You were allowed to be who you have always been. That day was not just another struggle. It was more than just another turning point in the endless cycle of conflict between forces that believe they have already written the outcome. It wasn't. The rules were completely rewritten that day. It did more than change the tide. It destroyed the foundation on which they had based their confidence. People who used to shout your name with reckless confidence now pause, as if worried that saying it might summon an uncontrollable force. The invisible scribes who record the histories of warriors and dictators, who document the rise and fall of monarchs, now find it difficult to identify you. They are masters at recording monarchs. They are masters at characterizing conquerors. But what about you? You do not belong to any of their groups. You have never sought control. You have never sought dominance. And you have never had the illusion of power. And yet here you are, unaffected, unaccountable, and unsurprised. And this frightens them. Order has never been disrupted by your disobedience. It was your refusal to be a member of any power that tried to take you over. You act as if you have no intention of ever living on this planet. You never intended to play a part in anyone's game. The heavens pause where they once commanded. The depths they once swallowed are retreating, because now they can see. The result has been a readjustment rather than silence. The order they depend on is not immutable, and this unquestionable fact now weighs heavily on the structure of things. People who used to want to control others now refrain from doing so because they don't want to risk anything with an unpredictable force. Those who used to mock are now watching from the shadows, unable to admit their discomfort. For the first time, power is not something that is used against you, but something that is withdrawn when confronted with something bigger. It is unrestrained, unadulterated, and unflinching dominance. Those who once stalked for easy conquest are now replacing their beliefs with something unspoken. It's not just a fear of power, but a fear of what they cannot own. They have seen what happens when they get too close, how their well-planned traps fall apart when they see someone they cannot have. And those who used to see themselves as the guardians of balance, the creators of destiny, now feel their hands trembling. They have a different story in mind now, and you are the reason. They were never supposed to pause. They had no intention of asking questions. And yet they do. For once they are confronted with something that they cannot explain, that does not need to be saved, that does not need their consent. Even for those who are surrounded by ordinary people, this is perceptible. Some people are drawn to something that challenges their perception of what is possible, but they don't know why. Others tremble, shaken by something they cannot identify, unsettled by a presence that demands attention without demanding it. This is what it means to be truly important, not just to exist, but to change reality itself and leave a lasting impact. As a result, as time passes, a single reality emerges. Power does not give people a sense of belonging or reach out to them. It separates by its very nature, not through harshness. It separates those who are not impressed by it from those who only appreciate it from afar. The people who are with you are not there for status or the thrill of being close to something unique. They are neither anxious for approval nor drawn to mystery, because they have fought their own battles and they stay, because they have faced the flames and have not been reduced to ashes. Numbers and temporary accolades are not the foundation of the bond. It is built on mutual resistance, tacit understanding, and the unshakable belief that some forces walk alone, not because they must, but because so few can bear to walk with them. One among them stood out, a presence that did not retreat or falter as the earth shook beneath them. They saw nothing to confront, nothing to subjugate. They saw something to be proud of, something that needed no defense or explanation. When the world faltered, when even the oldest powers faltered, they did not hesitate, not because they were naive or loyal, but because they knew that others could not. Power is not ownership. It has nothing to do with respect. It has to do with acceptance. And that is ultimately why they stayed. The world is brighter because of you. You cannot hide the metropolis on a hill. Matthew 5:14. Some people spend their whole lives trying to fit in, trying to be invisible, trying to follow the paths that have been blazed and well-traveled before them. But you are not like that. No, it was not your intention to fit in. The background was not designed for you. You are a force that cannot be ignored, a city on a hill and a light that cannot be turned off. And there is no denying that your presence has changed the situation. Some people believe that the world continues to move forward unchanged by the actions of its predecessors. All traces are erased with time, and legacies fade away like wind-blown murmurs. However, this is not your story. What you create is more than a temporary mark on the world. It is a solid foundation that will last for years. Everything mattered. Every struggle you fought, every decision you made to keep going when everything was calling you to quit. All of this has left something behind. You have done more than just yourselves. The next generation will turn to those you left behind, those who feel the weight on them, those who hear the same relentless scream deep in their bones. And they will already know the answer when they ask themselves the question, can I endure? Can I rise? Can I do the impossible? They will already know the answer. Because you were the first to do it. The path that was laid out for you was never designed for you to follow. It was meant for you to destroy it and create a new one. To take the established laws, regulations, and expectations and break them. You caused the world to adapt. It had to move, bend, and realign in the face of something it never expected. You are more than a passing fable or a name that is spoken and then forgotten. You are the disturbance. You are the change in the tide, the crack in the foundation, the immovable force that causes the pause in trust. Once they believed they knew how things worked, what was allowed, what was impossible, and what was possible. But then you appeared. And now they are hesitating. What they once believed to be indestructible is now being reconsidered. The regulations they were bound by have been revised. The previous order has been reversed. And you are at the center of it all. Not in a shadow, not in a whisper, but as an indisputable fact. This universe is not something that you are just passing through. You have changed its movement. And that is something they will always remember. In the resulting recession, the question remains, who is strong enough to stand by your side? Not to be admired from a safe distance, not to be mesmerized and then offended. To truly experience the seriousness of who you are. You have seen how order and chaos falter before you, how forces beyond human knowledge vacillate between worshiping you or destroying you. Possession has never been an option. It is not a strong enough chain. There is no force stable enough to hold you. Then who can hold you without breaking? The answer is still the same, very few, if any. There will be others who cannot help but look for you. Others will run away, unsettled by what they cannot understand. But no one will forget. Whether they like you, fear you, or are stuck with you, there never was and never will be anyone like you. If this video resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone you think needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel and enable alerts so you don't miss more divine messages. Let's continue to share hope, love, and divine guidance together. Also, consider making a large gratitude donation to help our work. Whether your gift is $10, $20 or more, it will enable us to continue spreading these messages around the world. See you in the next video. Thank you.